Hi everybody.
Yeah, I should get
This is
something
Kristen.
from them.
And this is Kay. That's Grandma.
I like him.
And we are here today to talk a little bit about Alzheimer's. Right, Grandma?
Yeah.
I wanted to make this video today because I've noticed, especially over the last week and a half or so, the real need for people to be educated on how to talk so Alzheimer's can kind of hear you, right?
Yeah.
So that they can communicate with people. The number one issue I think that I see with people communicating with people that suffer through Alzheimer's is not communicating with them at all, really. Wouldn't you say, Grandma?
Yeah.
Kind of, we have this perception that because we can't communicate with people the same way, we shouldn't communicate with them at all. And when we do that, we really do a disservice to all of us because, you know what? Grandma certainly knows, don't you, Grandma? Don't you?
Now, where is he?
Well, he's at the store. Chuck's at the store.
I'll have to tell him.
Yeah, so it's just us here today.
I'll have to tell him.
You'll have to tell him when he gets back, won't you?
Uh-huh.
Sometimes he struggles with this too.
Where is he going?
He went to get some paper towels. Isn't that something? So the thing is that
Men.
That's it, Grandma. That's exactly it. The thing is that people know. They know. She knows when she's being ignored. Don't you, Grandma?
Yeah.
It's the hardest part. And when they're being talked around and talked over, sometimes we can have these conversations and very much include...
Look at this.
That's your milk.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty?
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it before. Can you believe it?
I love
We can
it.
include them in the conversation. Even if I'm talking about something that's hard, that's a little bit over where they're at in their mental space, mental capacity, we can still have them be part of the conversation. Wouldn't you say, Grandma?
Yeah. Let me see. Allie.
Yeah,
Allie.
Allie.
That's the bad. That's the blad. Not the blad, but he was the blad. The one that he wanted the thing. And his brother liked the thing.
Well, and he probably wanted to be able to communicate too.
That's right.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked her, and she said, "You don't have to do anything for him because he is on our part."
Well, thank goodness you were there to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The second thing that I noticed the very most often, other than being ignored, is actually just the real desire and the need, almost the absolute compulsion that we have to correct things. Don't we?
Holy moly.
Holy moly is right. We really feel like we need to make sure that the conversation makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't though, does it?
No.
The reality is it doesn't usually make sense, and that's okay.
Right.
If we can communicate in a way that helps us to feel heard, don't you think? That brings us into the conversation, everybody involved.
Yeah.
Then we're talking so Alzheimer's can hear us. Asking simple questions like "Don't you think?" and "What would you do?" can really help everybody feel like they're participating in what the conversation is. Right? The answers don't have to make sense. That's the hard part for everybody to remember.
Right.
It just doesn't have to make too much sense, does it?
No.
No. And when we do that, then we're able to have sometimes like a 45-minute conversation.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
It's exhausting. It can be tiring,
That's awful.
but it can also be really good.
Holy.
Sometimes we have really good conversations, don't we, Grandma? Sometimes we do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Either way, it's a way to continue the normalcy. Everybody wants to feel heard. Everybody wants to feel understood and loved, and it takes away an awful lot of the confusion. Don't you think, Graham? Now, we confuse that sometimes with asking lots and lots and lots of questions of "Do you remember?" or talking about our history or remembering stories by requesting that they participate in that. And if I said something to you like, "Do you remember when your kids were little?"
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes that works, but if I'm asking for a specific memory, that's really hard, isn't it?
That's what I thought about it.
Yeah.
And it's my final tried it. I thought of and my thought of it. And it was 4 to 7 6s for us to get the coast fixed because they were beyond.
Absolutely.
Rats of both.
Yes. Well, if I'm really bugging you about remembering something, then it can feel pretty awful because you don't remember it.
Yeah.
But if we just talk about our stories as without asking for you to recall them, then that really helps. Sometimes we'll talk about, oh gosh, you know, when I was a little girl, you used to tell me all the time not to run through the house. And I'll never forget that. It was a really strong memory for me.
It's a bat. It's a bat.
It
know
is.
That. Know that.
You certainly can't run through the house, can you?
Oh boy, no.
Oh, here, but you know what? Let's use this for your nose. You want to blow your nose?
Yeah.
Here, blow your nose with that.
Right.
There you go. Because asking for them to remember something that they don't remember is terrifying.
Yeah.
That's really terrifying. But talking about memories is awesome.
Yeah.
Because we can bring everybody in by talking about memories together. Don't you think?
Well, one is one home.
Yeah.
I'm in one of home.
You are.
Yes.
This is your home.
Yes.
This is your amazing, beautiful home.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes reminding everybody that this is the reality is okay, but telling them that they're wrong about reality, that just does not work. That's really an awful thing to do.
And you think that it's all fixed,
You do.
and it's not.
It's not at all.
No.
And even when it's not fixed, sometimes it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
I'll tell you,
gosh.
sometimes the hardest things and the most agitating thing for people that live in the mind of Alzheimer's is being told they're wrong.
Really?
Nobody likes being told they're wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're remembering things about our parents, and to us, they're really present. They're here in the room with us. Doesn't work to remind those folks that they're gone, and it doesn't, because that's hurtful. There's no reason for that.
Well, that and us for this, we took the packs and these things,
Absolutely.
and that was different from what happened for them because of the duff. And they said this was the puff and that was the fuff. Well, it was never a buff in the puff.
Oh my gosh.
This was it.
That was all there was?
Yeah. Now, when we graduated,
Yes.
it was pulled off.
Thank
And-
goodness.
Yes, it was because there was no doing things. Just you can't just chuff the fan.
Thank you. I'll remember that.
Yeah.
That will be really helpful.
Yeah. And that was the radio that I liked, and I liked when I had it.
Absolutely. What happens when we join in the space that you're in, and we talk about conversations as if we get it, we totally get it,
Yeah.
then gosh, it brings so much security and comfort to where you're at, because everybody wants to be understood.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yes, I do, and I think I would ask the people
Yes.
to be there if they are right.
Well, to be there and to make sure
Yeah.
to talk to you,
Yeah.
to not ignore you,
Yeah.
to really join in conversation even if that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Don't you think
Oh,
so?
yeah.
I think so.
I know.
It really helps. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
logical, because guess what? It's not logical. But it can still be a good conversation.
Yeah. Right.
It can really still be a good conversation, especially if we meet them where they are, because that's the only option that we have. It really is the only option that we have.
Yeah.
And when we can do that, sometimes it's hard. It's hard sometimes. Chuck sometimes has a hard time because he feels like he is being deceitful, doesn't he? when he's not correcting things and making making sense out of it?
Well, actually, he wants to dye the pine of the pie, and there's not a whole lot of stuff down in here.
There's not, no.
And if he dyed it, if he put it on the flyer, then this would definitely come in. And why I think that's what we probably would have to have.
Yes.
And not anything other than that.
Right. But comforting you and making sure that we're coming to your level, that's not being deceitful. That's being helpful and kind. It's making sense of it for you, and it's certainly helping everybody stay happy.
You're right.
And not agitated. It's not the same as lying. Sometimes we feel like it's lying, but it's really not the same as lying at all.
Yeah.
It's just important.
Yes, and that's what we had. That's what I had, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
And when I got to the point of the bliss, that's where I had because the kids were taking the stuff for me for a help.
Yeah, and they were always helping you, weren't they?
And they asked me if I wanted them to open the hopin.
What did you say?
The open hopin. And I thought, what the heck are they for? But it was the darndest part. I thought everything was fine. Oh my!
I'll tell you what. Sometimes the most basic tool of communication has no barriers of mental intellect or emotional stability. Really, sometimes the most important part of communicating is making eye contact. Because when we look at each other and we see each other, we know we're listening. Don't we? We know we're listening. We know we're being heard and being loved. And looking at people is really, really important.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be uncomfortable, does it?
It is.
We can look and smile and make sense of things even when they're gibberish. Because sometimes it's just gibberish, isn't it? A lot of times, the really, really important thing is asking for help.
Yes.
Making, because sometimes people, even in this state of mind, really need to feel like they're useful and they're helpful. Helping people makes everybody feel good. And when you feel like you can't help people anymore, that's really, really sad, isn't it? It's hard.
Yeah.
So you need to feel needed. Everybody needs to be needed.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just stinking needs to be your idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Communicating, whatever it is, communicating well. Sometimes if we can phrase it and present it in a way that it is not being something told to be done, but a suggestion that seemingly comes from...
It'll clop it.
Right, seemingly comes from you. If it can be brought up in that way, gosh, that helps everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I could use help with? I really, really need to get this table cleaned off. Would you help me with that? Could you help me? Here, you take this one right here.
Okay.
And I'll take the milk and we'll put it in the fridge. Let's go over here with it, Grandma.
Okay.
Here, I'll put this away in the fridge.
Okay.
And then we will... Oh, thank you.
Now these are the fish.
That is.
Did I say fish?
It's not a fish, is it?
Okay,
It's
all
a
right.
cookie.
It's fish. Fish. All right, fish.
Well, I'll take it.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for helping me. I needed that. Knowing what to do and how to talk to people, how to communicate so that they feel heard and you don't feel like you're going crazy.
That's exactly right.
Gosh, that's the most important thing.
Right.
Well, I'm really thankful for anybody who took this 20 minutes to listen to us, because it's a really, 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 really hard concept to learn how to talk to dementia or Alzheimer's. But really, it's incredibly simple. You just have to You just have to make eye contact and not ignore people. Meet them at their level.
Yeah.
Make them feel heard.
I started with...
Thank you. Grandma,
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. was.
It's a constant learning process.
And I put it on,
Blessings.